Have you ever heard the phrase, "you are what you eat"? Well, today we are going to be talking about protein, which is the most plentiful substance in our body that can grow, maintain, and replace the tissues in our body. In this video, we are going to discuss what a protein is made up of, the structure of a protein, and the application this has to our lives. The word protein comes from the Greek word proteosis, which means holding the first place because of protein's importance in our diets. A main source of protein for the human body comes from fish and other meats, as shown in this picture. But if people don't eat meat, then you can also get protein from beans and nuts. Proteins have many different roles in the human body, such as acting as enzymes to help regulate chemical processes, antibodies to help fight infection, and protein hormones to help people feel emotions. Along with this, proteins are very important because they make up approximately 18 to 20% of your body, and the only other substance that's more plentiful than this is water. These proteins then go through a process that break them down into different amino acids and rebuild them back into other proteins to create 80% of the muscles in your body. The process of dietary proteins being broken down into amino acids and then built back up into new proteins to feed nutrients to our bodies is called proteolysis. This process occurs in the stomach, where first HCl denatures the protein, making it more available to enzymes. Then pepsin, a gastric protein, comes and cleaves off amino acids from the denatured chain, making oligonucleotides. These oligonucleotides then move into the duodenum, where they are further separated by digestive enzymes made by the pancreas into tripeptides, bipeptides, or individual amino acids. These smaller sections then move along to the intestinal cells, where the di and tripeptides are broken into individual amino acids. Some of these amino acids enter the bloodstream and are transported to other parts of the body, and others are built back up into proteins that our bodies can use to make muscles.
Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, and these are the 20 most common amino acids. These amino acids can make millions of proteins by the order that they bond with each other. Amino acids can be divided into two groups, essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. In this picture, essential amino acids are circled with a dashed line. Essential amino acids cannot be made by our bodies that require us to consume through our diet. On the other hand, non-essential acids, which are shown with a solid circle, are synthesized by our bodies, therefore they are not necessary to be consumed in everyday diet.
Here are the 5 basic amino acids. As you can see, there are similar structures among each of the amino acids. In the middle, there's a hydrogen attached to a carbon. And then on the left side, there's an amino group where nitrogen is attached to 2 hydrogens. And on the right side, there's a carboxyl group where a carbon is double bonded to an oxygen and attached to another oxygen with a hydrogen. Separated up above are the groups that I just showed you that are all similar in every amino acid. Below, the only thing that makes an amino acid unique is the R group. So each of these down below are R groups.
These are the 5 basic amino acids that were previously shown. As you can see, there is a common structure to all amino acids, including the hydrogen, amino group, and carboxyl group. And the bottom parts are the R groups that are unique to each amino acids. To actually build a protein, amino acids are combined in a line at first. When 2 amino acids are placed next to each other, the 2 hydrogens and an oxygen form water, leading to a dehydrogenation synthesis. And the 2 amino acids form a covalent peptide bond. This happens over and over again, making a chain of amino acids, which is called a polypeptide.
Within this polypeptide, individual amino acids have their own chemical properties that are specific to it. For example, threonine is hydrophilic or polar, and alanine is hydrophobic or nonpolar. That means that threonine attracts water and alanine
repels water. So they would try to get away from each other whenever this structure forms. Aspartic acid also has a chemical property, which is it has a negative charge, whereas lysine has a positive charge. So when this polypeptide is making a chain, these two amino acids will try to get near each other and stay together. There are 4 levels of structure within a protein. So the first level of structure is primary, and this is the order that all of the amino acids are bonded together, and they are bonded together by peptide bonds. Secondary structure is whenever the R groups in a polypeptide interact with each other, the positive and negative R groups interact with each other to form beta sheets and alpha helixes. These two structures are mostly held together by hydrogen bonds. Tertiary structures are whenever these beta sheets and alpha helixes interact with each other, forming more complex folds. Quaternary structure is whenever multiple proteins come together. So this represents a polypeptide, and this right here, it would be the backbone structure. So that is the constant part of every single amino acid. And imagine that there are R groups sticking off of this. So these R groups will interact together to form alpha helixes, and then these R groups will also interact together to form beta sheets, and these are all held together by hydrogen bonds. And then these alpha helixes and beta sheets, so say that this end of the polypeptide is hydrophilic, so that'll bend towards the outside, and then this end is hydrophobic, so that'll curve towards the inside, trying to get away from the polar part of the molecule. And then say this part, this amino acid over here, the R group is negative, and over here the R group is positive, and these two will try to get closer together. And this is how a polypeptide folds, which forms a protein.
So you may be asking yourself, why is protein important? Proteins are important because not many other foods contain nitrogen, and protein is one of our only sources of nitrogen. You can't just pull nitrogen out of the air. So we have to make sure we are consuming it. Another reason that understanding proteins is important is because it might lead to cures for Alzheimer's disease, Huntington's disease, and Parkinson's disease. In Alzheimer's disease, the misfolded proteins, which are called amyloids, clump in between neurotransmitters, preventing transmission of thoughts. This creates memory loss and fogginess. If we can understand how proteins fold, then we could find a cure to these debilitating diseases.
So, the moral here is you are what you eat.